Greetings. The month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. It's a month to reflect on the importance of mental health. And in the country of Zambia, mental health is something that when I was coming up, it wasn't an issue that people talked about a lot. But now I think we are living in a time when things have changed. And it's very, very important for us now to take heed and pay attention to mental health, because mental health affects us all. It's not something I know there's stigma associated with mental health, not necessarily just in Zambia, but over here in the US, it's also something that people still feel. Talking about mental health, it's stigmatized. You don't have to talk about mental health, but it is high time, looking at the numbers that we're seeing across the globe, especially in younger people. I think we are living at a time that we just don't know. So a little bit of mental health, to talk to a therapist, a coach, just to ease up things. It's highly, highly recommended, because there's just so much which is being thrown at us on social media. Everybody is trying to capture your attention, trying to sell you something, trying to get you to like something. People are getting frustrated, and there's burnout, and there's just too much pressure from work, too much pressure from relationship, too much pressures from trying to meet the deadline. There's just so much. And in the process of all that, it's important for people to take a step backwards and relax, breathe in and breathe out. To help me discuss this important conversation is a young lady. I will let her introduce herself. Jemima, tell us a little bit about yourself before we get going with our program.
Right, no problem. My name is Wumba Jemima Siget. I'm a licensed clinical psychiatrist. I studied clinical psychiatry and mental health at Levi Mwanawasa Medical University. I just recently graduated.
That's good. That's good. So what got you interested into mental health?
I feel the main thing that got me interested in mental health was my own personal struggles with mental health when I was growing up. I struggled very heavily with grief in my early childhood, and I feel as I grew older, it manifested into depression and anxiety. And I wasn't very sure on who to turn to help me with that. I wasn't even, at that time, I didn't even have a name for what I was going through. So as I grew older, I learned of what mental health is and what mental illnesses are, psychiatrists and the like. And I decided to become the person that I needed when I was younger. I decided to become that person for other people.
That's good. That's good, because it's true. Mental health is something that is affecting a lot of people, especially younger people. You are a younger person yourself. In your own perspective, what do you think is causing all this in younger people? What is going on?
With younger people, there's array of causes. There's so many different causes. Changes with their emotional and social lives, as well as their own hormonal changes can affect how their mental health is. So even with changes in adolescence, the social circles changing, familial struggles, maybe struggles with poverty, peer pressure, and all the like school difficulties can also, there's so many predisposing factors to mental health in childhood.
Yeah, that's true, because I think, like I say, when I was coming up back in the 80s and the 90s, we knew there were at the time when I was coming up, there used to be Chinama was the only place, but now there are a lot of places that have opened up to spread more awareness, especially on this important topic. So it's encouraging, especially for me, when I see people like you getting involved, because when others your age are seeing people who are their peers, I think it's something that appeals to them, and then it helps to take away the stigma, because stigma is something that is real, and a lot of people are afraid to seek medical guidance or seek help because they have this stigma that no, it's not. When you talk about your mental health challenges, people look at you in a weird way. But I think that is something that we all need to open up, and there's nothing wrong to for anybody to talk about challenges, because life is just moving at a very fast pace, and there's just so much going on, especially these times. Like I say, some of us grew up in a different time zone, and back in the 80s or 90s, now 2000s, there's Wi-Fi, there's internet, and there's just so much. So we're going to take a short break, and then when we get back, then we'll continue our conversation with our special guest. Yes, so continuing our conversation, for those who are just joining us, you want to follow and like the page and share with your circles. We are talking about mental health, and our special guest is Jemina. So here's a question for you. As a mental health advocate, what motivated, I know you touched this on a little bit, but give us a little bit of maybe meat to this one. What motivated you to becoming actively involved in this space? Give us a little bit more to add on to what you shared.
I'm not exactly sure I have more to say, but yeah, with my own personal struggles, for instance, I felt like not many people paid much attention to the said struggles. For example, with grief, not many people actually realize how challenging grief is to overcome, and some of the long-term effects that it may have on someone when it's not addressed properly. Especially with children, grief is very hard for children to understand and for them to navigate through. So I feel like it's a very important area to talk about and just to help them navigate through that. What also interested me to join the mental health space was also with my peers. I also noticed that they had struggles of their own, and at that age, there was not much that I could do, and also I did not know who to talk to. So yeah, just wanted to be the change that I wanted to see. I wanted to see more mental health specialists, more mental health conversations. So I decided to be that change.
Yes, that's true. It's important to notice or identify a problem and to be the solution. So that's good that you took that approach. So here's a follow-up question. Stigma remains a major challenge. Why do you think many people still fear talking openly about mental health?
I think it's mostly due to a fear of judgment and shame, because most times than not, they're afraid to be discriminated against or shamed for how they're feeling and thinking in that current stage. Some also may not want to be a burden to the people around them. They may think, oh no, let me not burden this person with my problems. So they choose not to reach out. And also, as you said, this is a different time. And although mental health is more talked about nowadays, and the space may be more informed about mental health problems, unfortunately, some people still carry the fear of how others are going to react to them talking about their mental health challenges.
Yeah, I think it's an ongoing issue that there is no silver bullet to say here's a solution, because just talking about what people are going through is opening up your life to someone else, and sometimes people are not so kind when you share certain things, and then people tend to either use that against you, and then it becomes a problem. And then when you privately open up your affairs, you are hoping for a solution, not embarrassment. So here's a follow-up question for you. Young people especially face many pressures today. What mental health challenges are most common among the youth or the young people today?
From what I've noticed, the most common mental health challenges amongst youth are anxiety, depression, and stress. I think
Yeah.
these are like the most common mental health challenges that people are facing at the moment. And this can be due to an extended number of factors, both by physical changes, emotional changes, and social changes. For example, with depression, this can come about from social exclusion, discrimination, and even difficulties with their schoolwork can cause someone to fall into a depression.
Yeah, I think yes, that is true. We see a lot of that, especially in, for instance, in foreign countries. People tend to be burnt out, to be stressed, loneliness. It's
Mhm.
especially in foreign countries because you are not close to your circles of friends, people that you've grown up next to or together with. You find yourself out there, so it's very common for people to be having all these challenges. And I can attest, I think, also on this side of the world where I am, in the diaspora in the US, we see a lot of challenges because I work in the healthcare space, and there are a lot of what are called behavioral health centers. Like I mentioned, when I was coming up in Zambia back in the 80s, uh, we only knew of Chinama, but I'm not really sure how many behavioral hospitals are out there. But over here, the hospitals are sort of operate differently depending on the situations. And we can only hope that in Zambia, there will be more of these settings and just open spaces where people can open up and talk about what is affecting them, because as humans we all have challenges, and it's normal to struggle, and we live in a society where we are meant to socialize, to interact, and to work with others. So we encourage people to, I mean, have a friend to talk to and share what you're going through. So let's follow it up with another question. What role can communities and peer support networks play in suicide prevention? Because suicide is It's very big, especially among the youth. What role do you think people should play in here?
When it comes to suicide prevention, having a community is very important. Having people that you can turn to is incredibly vital. Um, these people can provide social support to someone struggling, and the social support that they provide can help significantly reduce the occurrence of self isolation. Sorry, and also it can help said person feel more connected and wanted, and
Mhm.
these feelings alone can make a big difference. They can also provide emotional connections and support, and these emotional connections can help this person feel like they have a safe space to turn to talk about what they're struggling with and to open up about it. Because one thing about suicidal ideations and just depression in general, talking about it helps more than people think. So if the community grants this person with a safe space for them to talk about what they're struggling with and to give them a sort of outlet for their negative emotions and negative thoughts, it can help significantly. Yeah.
I couldn't agree
So,
more. Yes, having just a conducive environment where you are able to just let it out, where you are able to
yeah.
express yourself, it's the goal. And we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back with the Jamina. We are talking about mental health. So sit back, relax. We'll be right back after a few seconds. If you're just joining us, we are spreading awareness, we are shedding some light, we are talking about the importance of mental health, and this is the month of mental health awareness. And it's something that a lot more people need to talk about, and they need to be able to express themselves freely, and just having, just like my guest is mentioning, having an outlet where you are able to vent out, having an outlet or a conducive space environment where people, you are just able to speak freely, a judgment free zone where you're able to express yourself, because life happens to us all and none of us are perfect. I know sometimes people tend to think like other people know everything and they are perfect. I think we just have to understand each other, because none of us are perfect and we all struggle in one way or the other. So, continuing on with the question, here's the other question for you. If someone suspects a friend may be suicidal, what should they do and what should they avoid doing?
Okay, so I think I'll start with what they should avoid. If they're suspecting or they know that a friend may be suicidal, the main thing that they should avoid is keeping it a secret, keeping it to themselves, and trying to solve it on their own, because that rarely is fruitful. It's better to talk about it with professionals or someone who is more likely to offer better support or better help. Because if even the person that's trying to help, if they keep it to themselves, this can also negatively affect themselves as well. Yeah. So if they suspect that a friend of theirs is suicidal, they could firstly, before anything else, they could firstly start by approaching said person and trying to speak to them about it in a very calm and friendly manner, not trying to avoid any bit of judgments or hint of questioning in their voices or in their questioning. But yes, speaking to them softly, reaching out and showing them that they are concerned about their well being and that they care about how they're feeling and that they want to help. Once that is established, they need to gauge just how much this person already has planned. If they already have a plan on how they're going to go through with it, it's important that they know that so that when they reach out to a professional, they can scale just how much danger this person is in. Yes, so they can listen to them, offering them an ear, a shoulder to lean on, an ear to hear, and just
Mhm.
actively listen to what they have to say and offer support. Once you have gauged that much information, it's best to reach out to a mental health professional or a hospital and let them know that this person is struggling and that you fear that they may be suicidal. Because if you don't do that, the chances of them actually going through with it is still great, because even though you may talk to them, they may have an outlet. Suicidal ideations don't just go away. They can be there for extended periods of time. They may go away at the time of that conversation, but can't know if maybe later down the week they've been thinking about it every other day. Maybe I should do it today, maybe I should do it today, maybe I should do it today. So just having one conversation about it can help, but there's still a chance that they may still go through with it, which is why it's still important to reach out to a medical professional that can help them even further.
Yeah, yeah. It's important for people to reach out to medical professionals and seek the guidance, the support that is needed. Now, here is a last question for you. And the question is, what message would you like every Zambian to remember about mental health?
I'd like them to remember that if they are going through mental health challenges, they don't have to face it on their own. There's there's so many people out there that are willing to help them. If they feel that they don't have anyone close to them that they can open up about what they're going through or that they can talk to about their struggles, they're free to contact mental health advocates, mental health specialists, or even counselors to open up. It doesn't have to always be someone you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's important to have someone you trust in your circle that you feel free enough to talk to about these conversations with, and also just having the conversations in general to show that it's okay to struggle and it's okay to seek help. You're not any less of a person by doing so.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that is well said. It's important for people to understand that we live in a world where there is just so much happening at the same time, and it's normal
Mhm.
for us all to feel a certain way. But when we feel a certain way, we have to be mindful that we don't want a permanent solution to a temporary situation. So that's why reaching out to the medical professionals, to others to provide some guidance or support, it's very, very key, especially when one feels that they may be under pressure or they know someone who may be feeling a certain way. So, this is why it's important to have these conversations to shed more light and to just tell people that it's one day at a time. Life happens to us all, and there is help out there. So I want to thank my guest, Jemima, for gracing us with her presence as we talk about this conversation. So thank you, Jemima, for joining, and hopefully we'll be able to see you on our future program.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me. I hope to be on future programs as well.
Great. Thank you.